In the distance, the chords of that old song which Paul used to sing for his daughter reached his ears. 7 long years have passed since his daughter was taken from his side. Could that melody, sung by an unknown young woman, be a sign that his arduous search is finally coming to an end? Hello, my friends. I am Linda, and this is Linda's Love Stories. I hope you enjoy this story. Paul felt butterflies in his stomach as he prepared to face his first day at his new job. Through the influence of a longtime family friend, he had secured a position at the imposing mansion of a wealthy family. His responsibilities would range from meticulous gardening to the pristine maintenance of the pool, as well as fixing small issues that might arise in the majestic residence. Paul, having just turned 18, was at the threshold between youth and maturity, where the expectations of the adult world were beginning to knock on his door. On his first day of this new chapter in life, upon entering the mansion gates, he was guided by Louise, a warm and familiar figure also engaged in the household chores of that stately residence. With over 2 decades of dedication to that family, Louise was a keeper of the secrets within those walls. With her warm voice, Louise introduced every corner of the mansion to Paul, revealing the peculiarities of its upkeep and the stories embedded in the tapestries and polished furniture. But among the instructions she shared, one particularly stood out in Paul's mind: the unbreakable rule of not getting involved in any way with the house's inhabitants. Paul was not naive to the eccentricities that often accompanied the wealthy, but that specific rule seemed to exude a tone of snobbery that caused him some discomfort. He immersed himself in his tasks, from meticulous repairs to maintaining the lush gardens, and before he realised it, the day had slipped through his fingers. Paul was preparing to end his day when his eyes caught a fleeting glance, a silhouette in a window on the mansion's upper floor. The long hair and form suggested the presence of a young woman. However, before he could fully process what his eyes had seen, she vanished from sight. The following day, while Paul was engaged in the routine task of cleaning the pool, there she was again, the same young woman with long hair and a mysterious aura. Their eyes met for a brief moment, and just like the time before, as soon as she noticed she had been seen, she disappeared. As Paul was enjoying his lunch, Louise came over with some information. The sick driver had left a void, and unexpectedly, Paul would be the one to fill it. The owner's daughter needed to be taken to an appointment. Paul waited anxiously in the vehicle, when the young woman, the same enigmatic figure who had captured his attention through the windows, entered the car. The engine running, the car gliding down the asphalt, an uncomfortable silence hanging in the air. But then, breaking the quiet, the voice of the young woman. "You are the new employee, aren't you?" Paul silently nodded. Then her words echoed, carrying a rebellion that swept away the air of conformity. "You can speak. These stupid rules only apply to my parents." Paul's gaze shifted to the rearview mirror. The young woman emerged, and her beauty was more breathtaking up close. That moment marked the first bond between 2 young people destined to walk an unexpected path. From that instant, Paul and the young woman named Alexia became accomplices in a secret that united them. During the day, their exchanged glances were just a silent acknowledgement amidst the duties surrounding them. But at night, when the moon rose in the sky, Paul and Alexia met. A gap in the fence became the portal to their clandestine connection. Under the tapestry of stars they gathered, each meeting a dive into the depths of their shared dreams. Hands intertwined over the dewy grass, they envisioned a future of possibilities, a world where the barriers surrounding them were merely challenges to overcome. For months they managed to keep their encounters secret. However, fate, often whimsical, did not allow this chapter to last indefinitely. On a fateful day, Alexia's relentless father discovered them, and the consequences were swift and cruel. Paul, fired from his position, was removed from the mansion. The order came with unyielding severity. The daughter was forbidden from seeing Paul. Nevertheless, the fire that burned within their hearts could not be extinguished so easily. And thus, through an unexpected alliance with Louise, the wise woman who knew the mansion's intricacies, words of love continued to flow, this time in the form of passionate letters. Paul got a new job, each paycheck a promise of a future they both dreamed of. Every penny saved was a brick in the construction of the world they envisioned. Years passed until Paul finally managed to transform the fragments of their dreams into reality. The sweat of his labour and unwavering dedication culminated in the acquisition of a small ranch, a place where he and Alexia could lay down their roots. The escape they longed for, a meticulous plan that unfolded in secret, finally arrived. On a rainy night, they left behind the shackles of the mansion, the rules that once separated them, and followed the call of their dreams. Alexia's family tried several times to persuade her to return, but Alexia remained steadfast, refusing to abandon the life she chose. The simple life they forged together brought them deep happiness and a sense of fulfillment that no wealth could match. The years passed like distinct seasons, each bringing with it learning and growth. And then, the sweetest chapter opened with the arrival of their first daughter, Louise. The house, now filled with the laughter and joys of little Louise, overflowed with the essence of the family they built. The years of sacrifice and persistence found their pinnacle in those simple moments where memories were woven with love. When Louise turned 8, news enveloped the family in a wave of renewed happiness. Alexia was pregnant again. The house echoed with laughter, and each day seemed like a countdown to welcome the new member on the way. The months of pregnancy flew by. Everyone in the family was full of anticipation, preparing to embrace this new addition with open hearts. As often happens in the fabric of life, a moment of joy was overshadowed by an unexpected shadow. A complication during childbirth took not only the baby's life, but also Alexia's. What should have been a moment of welcome turned into an agonizing void, leaving Paul and Louise facing a pain they could never have imagined. The pain of the loss consumed them, a deep mourning that seemed to transcend words. As Paul sought strength for himself and for Louise, he felt there was an unresolved chapter in the story. Despite the differences and the distancing, he knew it was crucial to find closure. Alexia's parents deserved to know what had happened and have a chance to say goodbye to their daughter. On a grey day when the clouds mirrored their sadness, Alexia's parents attended the funeral. Paul was truly shattered, as if part of his soul had been torn away. Amidst the darkness of his pain, an unexpected gesture emerged. Alexia's parents offered to take care of Louise for a few days. This offer had a dual purpose: to allow Paul some space to deal with his own grief and to give the grandparents a chance to get to know their granddaughter better, a connection life had interrupted. Paul, although reluctant to be separated from Louise even for a moment, saw in this offer an opportunity to find a bit of peace and clarity amidst the emotional chaos that enveloped him. Louise, still so young and vulnerable, deserved to be surrounded by love and care, and this offer provided exactly that. The agreement was made, establishing that in 3 days Paul would fetch Louise from Alexia's family mansion. On the agreed day, with a mix of anxiety and hope, Paul arrived at the majestic residence. However, his persistent knocking at the door was met only with silence, without any response. Frustrated and confused, a memory came to mind, a recollection of the gap in the fence he used to use to meet Alexia. Inside the mansion, an encounter with Lords, the wise and discreet figure who was always in the background, revealed the dark truth. Lords led him to the kitchen, where the bitter truth poured out. Alexia's parents had taken Louise to a distant boarding school as a form of retaliation. The cruel intention was for Paul to feel the same pain of being separated from his daughter. The news hit Paul like a blow to the chest. Fury and helplessness mingled as he left the mansion and headed straight to the authorities. However, the influence and power of Alexia's parents played their part, and nothing happened to them. Desperate, Paul embarked on a frantic and tireless search. The path ahead was a journey of blind determination, traversing every school in the hope of finding a clue of where Louise could be. Every closed door, every piece of withheld information only intensified his determination. Time unravelled like a fragile thread between Paul's fingers, and the search for Louise seemed gradually to have lost its sharpness. The hope that once burned intensely now seemed a dwindling flame, a vestige of memories that once felt so real. Life went on, but the void left by the loss of Alexia and the absence of Louise were always dark companions. Paul continued to walk the solitary path where memories were his only comfort and hope, an almost broken promise. 7 years had passed since the last time he heard of Louise, 7 years of silence and uncertainty, but then, on a day like any other, while walking in a park, with his thoughts lost somewhere distant, a familiar melody reached his ears. It was a song he had learned from his mother and used to sing to Louise. Following the sound of the music, he saw a girl. Her age seemed to coincide with the age Louise would be at that moment. He approached slowly, as if he were approaching a fragile dream that could shatter at any moment. The hope that ignited within Paul was quickly extinguished by the painful reality. That girl was not Louise. A question emerged from that moment, a question he could not help but ask. He inquired about the origin of that song. Her answer opened an unexpected trail in his search. The song was sung by a school friend, a friend who apparently sang it every night. Driven by the urgency to find clues about his daughter, Paul dared to ask the friend's name. The answer that came like a breath of hope was almost surreal. "Louise," the girl replied, pronouncing the name that had echoed in Paul's heart for years. He listened attentively as the girl continued to share details about Louise's life. Louise rarely left the school, a revelation that echoed sadly in the depths of Paul's heart. The absence of her grandparents, who rarely picked her up, and even during holidays she remained at school. With a concrete lead in hand, he was determined to find his daughter, to embrace her again, and finally bring home the light that had been lost for so long. Armed with the name of the school and with the determination of a father who had waited years to embrace his daughter, he headed to the place. At the gate, he created a story that allowed him to enter, pretending to be Louise's grandparents' driver. A step he felt was necessary to find the daughter he had long searched for. The moment he had longed for arrived when Louise finally appeared. The emotions that flooded Paul were overwhelming. Seeing that young woman, so similar to Alexia, the woman he loved, it was as if the past and present were intertwined. Their eyes met, and in an instant, all barriers of time and distance disappeared. Louise recognized him immediately. Time had passed, but the memories of a loving father never faded in Louise's heart. Every beat of that song he sang and every moment shared were like fragments of a puzzle she always carried with her. The stories he told, the love he emanated, all of it remained deeply rooted within her. Now, together again, father and daughter left behind the shadows of the past and ventured into a new beginning. Paul's life was marked by 2 painful separations, twice torn from his loved ones. The first was with Alexia, the love of his youth, whose departure left a deep scar on his heart. And then, the second separation, when Louise was taken from him, creating a void that seemed unbearable. Paul's love proved to be stronger than time and deeper than circumstances. If you enjoyed, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment with a number from 1 to 5 to let us know how much you liked the story. Also, watch the video that is currently on your screen. See you soon.